Coach podcast and the Coach's Couch. That is where we are sitting today. And so I hope for you that you are actually sitting in a couch right now, or on a couch, I should say, or at least somewhere that's really relaxing and amazing. In saying that, I know many people listen to podcasts when they're driving cars. So we don't want you to be too relaxed if that's you right now. But wherever it is that you may be when you're listening to this episode, just thank you so much for the joy of really bringing this podcast out to you, which I know is listened to by tens of thousands of people all over the world. And so I'm just so grateful to have you here and sitting with me on the couch today. So we have a wonderful question that has been submitted today by Sky Carmichael. You can find Sky on Instagram at Coached by Sky, which has an E on the end. Sky is a wonderful new and emerging divorce coach, and she's just beautiful. And I'm really, really happy that she's asked this question, which feels super, super current for us all right now. And so this is the question that Sky has submitted for me to answer, or at least attempt to answer a little bit on the Coach's Couch today. Julie, what do you see the future of coaching looking like in the current economic climate? And what do emerging and existing coaches need to do differently to ensure we can survive and thrive and service our clients best? Yee! Well, Sky, there's nothing like going for the jugular there. What a great question. It's an absolute beauty. And so let's dive in and talk about it. So the first thing that I want to say, and I'm sure for any of you who know me well, this is not going to come as a surprise to you, I am excited for our future. Despite the question and the economic climate, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and other things going on and challenges and things like that around us, I am still absolutely and 100% so excited about everything to do with coaching and coaching as an industry into the future. Coaching is a growth industry, and it has been for many years now, and nothing that has shifted in the economic climate seems to be impacting that in any significant way. What I mean by that is that there continues to be a lot of people that believe that becoming a coach for them is the right path for them, and that there are a lot of people who want to work with a coach, either potentially for the first time, or they're a fan, an ongoing fan of doing so, and they keep returning to coaches to see them, to support them, to really live their best life and or help them create an amazing business. Now, with the increased use in every area of our lives of artificial intelligence, AI, we could really be forgiven for thinking with some roles, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing at all, becoming obsolete or being reduced in different forms, in different ways, different industries, that this may happen with coaching or with other space holding roles. But the truth is that I actually cannot see how that is truly ever going to be possible. As human beings, we are completely wired for connection with each other. We need each other to be loved, to be cared for, seen, witnessed, listened to, and have space held for us, which is a combination of many things that coaches do. No AI mechanism, not even a robot that is as close to human form as possible, is ever, in my mind, going to be able to fully replace that human connection. I just cannot see how that is possible when, for like 40 plus years now, I've been studying the human condition in some form. So I just can't see that happening. I don't see AI or artificial intelligence replacing anything that coaching does. And I do think that AI is a part of the current economic climate. I believe it can be used to enhance our businesses and help us with our lives. And I'm not an expert in that area, but I don't believe that it's ever going to replace what it is that people such as coaches, counselors, psychologists, healers, and guides do. And that's, of course, a very, very positive and good thing. Now, Sky, in relation to the current economic climate, that is a really interesting part of your question here. And I should make it really clear to everyone, even though I'm sure you are already aware that I'm not an economist or a financial specialist of any sort, nor am I a futurist and have any understanding of what may be coming for all of us. But I have complete respect for those people who do that work. But clearly it's not my zone of genius in any way. What I do know is that just as a person, as a human being, like us all, I am feeling and have been for some time, like us all, again, in many, many parts of the world, the pinch of an economy where rents are rising, mortgage interest rates are much higher than they were a few years ago. And, gosh, let's not even talk about the cost of things like electricity, petrol and gas, or a cup of coffee from your local favorite barista. I don't know about anybody else, but it's often because I love coffee and I love the ritual of making coffee at home, but I also love getting one when I'm out and about. And gosh, it is just extraordinary to me, the price that we are now paying for a cup of coffee in comparison to even where it was a few years ago. But such is life, and basically the rising cost of living. And it's something that unless you are mega rich and you don't have any concerns about money at all, which, let's face it, is only a very, very few people on this planet, then we know that everyone is feeling this in some way or another. And I'm certainly no exception to that. And so, in answer to your question here, Sky, what do we have to do differently in response to this? Well, the first thing is actually, I think, what we don't do. Something we don't do is panic or start to make assumptions about what other people value and prioritize when it comes to spending money. Because it can be very easy for us to tip into a very negative, overly cautious mindset at times like these, but that's a dangerous thing to do for ourselves and our coaching and our businesses when it's based on assumptions rather than facts. And so what that can see us doing is just assuming that, well, financial pressures are strained right now for many people, and that means that people are just not going to work with a coach. Now, that is a very big assumption. And I can certainly tell you that it is not the truth and not the case in so many businesses that I'm seeing, where their clients are absolutely still continuing to flow, and they work in a variety of different niches, whether it be with teachers or mothers or young people or retirees. This is not just something where business coaches are continuing to have good client attraction and success in their businesses. I see it happening and know that it's happening from my own clients as well in a variety of different niches. And so we don't panic. That's the first thing that we don't do. And we don't make assumptions that see us create blanket statements for ourselves like, well, because of this right now and the economic pressures that many people are experiencing, as I said before, that means people don't then buy coaching or don't engage in coaching. That's not the case at all. We can't make assumptions around things like, oh, well, people are not going to go on holidays or things like that. But for some families, and I happen to know a family like this, I was recently having a conversation with the mother of a family that I know, and they made the decision to go on an interstate holiday, even though things were financially quite stretched for them. And she explained to me that they did this because of a variety of different reasons, but the main one was that both her and her partner felt that they were becoming increasingly disconnected from their children due to their very busy lives and careers, and that they had one child who had special needs, and that was impacting the other two children in the family in ways that they could see were not the greatest, and they were becoming disconnected. The siblings were becoming disconnected from each other as well. And she said to me, so even though it was a real financial stretch for us to go on this holiday, we made the decision to do it because we felt that it was a necessity for our family. We understand that other people would think, well, that holiday is not really a necessity, but for us it was. And she said, I am so glad that I did. And I had such joy listening to her talk about this holiday that she'd gone on with her family and how much it had brought them closer together, how they had discussions as a family when they were away about some things they were going to change when they got back to, you know, in inverted commas, real life and all of those sorts of things. And it was just amazing. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Lots of people would make the assumption that, well, you wouldn't go on a holiday as a family if money was tight. But they did. And she said, we're so glad that we did. So we've got to be really careful about those things and what it is that people prioritize and want to spend money on. So what is it that we do? Well, of course, Sky, this is just my opinion. Okay, there may be lots of other people that would have different opinions, but this is what I kind of feel are the best few things to focus on. And I think the first one that we have to do that can make a real difference here and see clients in this climate continue to flow to us or start to flow to us if we're just starting out is to get very, very clear about what we know about two things. The first one is, what are the core issues that your ideal clients are grappling with? What is keeping them up at night or making them restless? Where are things not okay for them that means that they want to make a shift or a change and create something better for themselves in? The second flow onto that is the need then for us as coaches to get very sharp in articulating how it is that you can help your potential clients and clients with those very things. So that when it comes to them contemplating seeking help, it being super clear to them that you are the right person to support them, that you know what it is that they're going through, that you are clear in the potential outcomes that they can achieve from working with you. And that will then assist them to become significantly more willing to invest in themselves because you have shown them a very clear path to what is possible from working with you. And this is when people reach crossroads in their lives, and they have to make decisions or they become significantly more willing to make decisions about, do they want to remain where they are or do they want to change? And if someone's desire to change is significant enough, then they will invest in getting help, even if it means that they might have to stretch themselves in some way financially. That does not, of course, mean that we want anybody, no way, to go into any kind of financial distress from making the decision to work with us. That's not what I'm saying at all. And even though I know that there is marketing out there that pushes people in this way, that is the very last thing that either I personally or we as an academy would ever want or suggest to anyone. We want our clients to be regulated and sure and clear about what they are investing in with us. And that's a decision that you can't make for them. We can't make that for them, only they can. And then, Sky, I've spoken about this before on the Coach's Couch and on Inspired Coach podcast in varying different ways before. And so it's not necessarily a new thing, but when it comes to your question about the current economic climate, it is one that becomes even more important. And that is, you got to keep turning up. You got to keep showing up. You have to keep promoting yourself. You have to keep talking about yourself. You've got to go to events. Events are amazing, often very low cost ways, $10, $20, $35, to get out there and meet like-minded people, meet people that are in your circles, that can have a positive impact on your business, where your ideal clients are. And I think this is possibly an episode that I'm going to talk about on the couch in the future. I think that so many of us are not actually getting out from behind our desks enough. I think, that's a whole other tangent. Okay, I won't jump off the couch onto that just yet, but I really, really believe that with such a passion that we need to be getting with each other more in person than we really are. And you just got to keep turning up, Sky. You just got to keep turning up, everyone, and not think, oh, well, no one's listening. People have got other things on their mind right now. Of course, they're always going to. There are always going to be in our modern lives and worlds and way of living many things that can split our attention, that we have to hold our attention with in many, many different forms. But as soon as we make the assumption that people are too busy and or they don't have enough money and or this is not the right time for everyone else, notice I didn't say not the right time for you because only you get to decide that, then basically we're shutting ourselves down. We're shutting ourselves off. And it's just so important to keep turning up, to keep showing yourself, to keep leaning into content creation, connection, how it is that you best reach your ideal clients in varying different ways. But the number one thing that will see it all come to a screaming halt is if you just stop turning up. And of course, you've got to find the right way for you to do that. And that's something that we've spoken about here on the show before. That's different for everybody, but you've got to do it in the way that's right for you, no matter what may be happening in the economic climate. But I do think, as I said, that it becomes even more important in the climate that we're in, that instead of thinking, oh, well, I should just pull back because no one's going to buy this, no one's going to engage with it, that getting into that mindset, it's actually the opposite to that. It's like, how can I serve people more deeply? How can I connect in even more meaningful ways? Knowing that let's take your niche and your work and your area, for example, Sky, that no matter what is happening in the economic climate, people are still continuing to separate and get divorced and needing support around that. Now, I don't know what the statistics say around whether more people get separated and divorced when there is economic strain that's present in different economic climates, but something is telling me that that is likely to actually, there's probably a connection there. I'm not sure, I don't know, but got to keep turning up and not making assumptions that just because there may be some financial constraints that people are experiencing out there, that then means people are not investing in coaching. I'm here to tell you that they are, but the one surefire way that they won't is if you don't keep turning up. So keep turning up, Sky. Keep turning up, everyone. And know that 100% always, there are people out there who need you.